Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Character Modeling. Week 10. That's right, week 10. We got 2 weeks left. We're almost there. So, the great thing about this week is we get to actually start animating. And with all the work we've done with skinning and completing the little elements of it, we should be finishing everything up and really starting the animation process. And it's going to be really great. This is where my skills come into play a lot. And it really helps with how things work and how you animate and how you keyframe and how you position things properly to create those awesome animations. And that's really where things are going to really come out. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about this week because finally we get the endpoint. I can actually use my skills a little bit. It really helps out a lot more. However, great thing about this is we're really putting everything together, really piecing it piece by piece, and really showcasing the finished product. And that's where we've come to at this point. And really, we get the exciting part of seeing your characters walk. And that's the huge thing. So I figured I'd start this week off with just talking about some principles to animation and some things that actually matter when going into it. And really just some foundation aspects to how to animate and really to look at it a lot of times. So let's go over the quick principles real fast. So yeah, there's 12 principles to animation overall, 12 main ones. And each one has specific elements that are help you out. For example, squash and stretch is a good principle of animation, gives a sense of weight and flexibility and how things should still maintain volume even though they're squashed or stretched. It depends. A lot of times when you see something impact something, it usually happens when something contacts the ground. You see a small squashing effect to showcase that impact point, and then you stretch it to showcase the release element, to showcase that burst of energy. And that's where you see squash and stretch a lot of times. They help showcase gravity, volume. We tend to see this a lot with timing and weight. And that's where squash and stretch really come into play. They also help with expressions and emotions as well. Anticipation's another thing too. It's emotion that sets up another animation. For example, like about to swing an axe. The guy about holding it up, about to show the axe being swung, that's an anticipation element right there. And it showcases what's about to happen. So that's the great thing about that. Now, there's staging. Staging also helps. When you stage a scene, it helps create the mood of the scenes to portray the character's actions. Staging really helps out setting up the environment. Follow through and overlapping. These are two elements that when the character moves, it just shows that everything else doesn't stop moving. For example, in follow through, say if a character's running and has a coat on them, if the character happens to stop, everything else tries to catch up with it. Because it's lighter in weight, it kind of flows through the wind a lot more. So as the character stops, everything else moving, and then it just catches back up to it. Overlapping is when someone changes direction, say with that coat, and they go the other direction, the coat still goes forward and then flops back over. So that's overlapping, when one action overlaps the other one. Another really good concept is for acceleration, slow in and slow out. So a lot of times we tend to place more frames in animation in the beginning and the end instead of in the middle because during a cycle frame, there's less in the middle because of the fact that it showcases speed. In the middle, that's when that action has the most speed to it, has the most flow and movement to it. So by doing that, we've created acceleration. And actions always take more energy slowing up or starting up or slowing down. So we tend to see more frames stopping that motion or beginning that motion rather than when it's at full pace. That's why you see more frames in the beginning and the end. That creates that slow in, slow out methodology. If you don't do that, then your frames snap and then he just takes off like the Roadrunner from Looney Tunes. And you don't want that unless that character is designed to do that. So that's really the key. Now, the other 6 elements are really important. Arcs are important. The more arcs you give, the more flow of motion you're able to, because more actions follow an arc rather than a straight line. Even though a line is the straightest and quickest movement point, arcs give more animation. They give more flow. They give more direction and force. A lot of times when you do an action or a motivation, it's usually done in arcs rather than actual full straight lines. So keep that in mind. Now, if you want to add detail to your animations, secondary actions are also a really key point. So you could be doing a secondary action while you're doing the main action. For example, someone could be really angry, like just all furled up and stuff, but they could be like smoking a little pipe or something, and you just see aggressive smoke comes out of it, like in the puffs and everything. That's a secondary action. That person's like being angry and recoiled while smoking at the same time, showing that it's just like complementing the first action right off the bat. Those are secondary actions. Now, another big element in animation is really key is timing and spacing. Timing and spacing is crucial because you need to know how many drawings are in the animation frame to really make the animation work. Also, you have to pace them out to showcase what elements of the animation should be faster or what should be slower. The slower the animation is, the more drawings they're going to have to it, and they're going to be closer to each other. The faster an animation is, it's going to be spread out a little bit more with the timing of the clips to showcase that. Now, depending on how fast your character moves or how slow they move, that's going to really pace out what you want out of the walk cycle. That's going to be pretty crucial. Exaggeration is also another thing. This can be tied in with like anticipation and other different elements. And if you exaggerate more movements, the more the viewer is going to believe in the character's emotion. That's going to be really crucial, right? This is how a viewer reads characters' emotion. So the more exaggerated you are with elements, with movements, with animation principles, the more the viewer is going to understand what this character is trying to do. And that's really crucial, right? So be extravagant, be exaggerated. The more you do that, the more you're going to succeed. I promise you that. Solid drawing is also another thing too. Three-dimensional drawings are also key. They give weight and volume, and people can just give it substitutions rather than just 2D elements. It's with just basic outlines. Solid drawing is key. Finally, your character's got to have appeal, right? So if the personality of the character has appeal, if it has charisma, if it looks like it's an interesting character, it's going to obviously gravitate toward. The clear personality developments that make the character seem real make it appealable, and that's what you want out of that specifically. So now those are just the basic those are the basic 11. But there's a 12th step in principle for animation, and that is the missing one, and that's how you animate. So there's two ways you can animate. You can do straight ahead animation or keyframing, and that's the way to do that. Or pose to pose is how they call it specifically. Straight ahead animation is really specific. You create one frame at a time, and you just go down sequentially down the animation itself. For example, from 5-0 Goes West, you can see right here that he definitely is it's drawn straight by straight motion from what's the first step, what's the second, third, fourth. Note, everything is showing how he animates. So where his foot is going to land, it even shows the contact points as well. So note how each step starts off and then ends with a contact point right here. So this animator is drawing it one frame at a time. And sequentially too, so the next frame that comes up and the next frame after that. That's how that animators do it. That's straight ahead action, that's straight ahead animation. When you're drawing each frame sequentially after the other. That's what that does. Now there's pose to pose, and pose to pose is specifically doing the keyframes or the main poses first and then fill in the spots in between after that. So, for example, if you're going to do pose to pose animation, you're going to do just the main points. Like the contact points, the down points, the up points, and then the passing positions. Those are the main positions in a walk cycle. You would draw them first, and then you would fill in the transition animations that move to those main keyframes. That's pose-to-pose animation. So you're doing the main framing and then just adding the detailed framing in later. Animators never animate in order when they do pose-to-pose. Unlike sequential straight-ahead action where you do it one piece at a time. Very waterfall-style element where you're just doing it one element, then get to the next. Pose-to-pose is just you're doing the main keyframes, and you don't have to do this all sequentially. You can just work on one set of frames and then move to the next section or the other. What this does is it maps out the key poses and maps out the keyframes so it fills in every single element. So you can just fill in the actions afterwards. That's it. There's no wrong way to do it. It's just how you feel comfortable. That's really the deal. All right, so let's go over your assignments real quick, and let's go from there. So, yeah. All righty. So I posted your rubrics up already. Also graded your assignments and stuff for last week. I'm sorry that was a little bit late. That should be all up to date. I'll be taking a look at any makeup assignments and everything tonight, so that should be caught up. If you do need to meet up with me or send me a message, I sent a message back, so let me know if you have any feedback on that or anything too, so that's cool. So yeah, for this week, we have a couple assignments this week. you have your discussion post this week. So this one's pretty simple. It's about keyframing and defining extremes. So this is just kind of remembering your animation route. So your first post for your initial post, what I want you to do is I want you to post an image of an actual action you choose from the medium it's from. So I want you to post 3 images of body language. For example, you're going to post a sketch that you draw. No, you're going to draw these sketches too. You're going to do one extreme of an action you are analyzing. So, like, what's the main extreme? Then you're going to post a second sketch that you draw of a second extreme of an action you are analyzing, and a third sketch of an extreme. You can use your characters for this one. That's up to you. I would recommend it. That way you kind of gauge the extremes of certain actions. Like, what's the extreme key pose of the major actions? That's what I want you to do for your initial post. So you don't need to do any detail. If you want to put like a 1-sentence description of that key action, you can, but you don't need to. So for your response post, I want you to reply to at least 2 posts as usual. Make comments on whether you believe there should be another extreme altogether, or if your peers made a few more drawings to get the main idea of the action across. Keep in mind that these sketches would be equivalent to your saved poses in the CAD animation for pose-to-pose demonstration you did earlier in the module. So this should give you a direct correlation to how animation masters do this. So what I want you to do is, for this, I want you to just give feedback on if these are extreme poses or not, and why or why not. Please give examples. Please give details to it. Go through it and make sure there's solid replies. Remember, looking for about 2 paragraphs, per reply. That's what I'm looking for specifically, as usual. All right, so this week, you have your skinning rubric. Rubric's pretty much the same, but it's just 100%. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the heat maps to cover the entire model so we can move it. I'm going to try and move it and see how it does with it, so I know that there's no like deformation or anything, or like any warping. Other than that, I'd also like 2 rendered images as well of the skin model with the heat maps or how it's skinned specifically. So just for references, so I can take a look at it and see if it all looks right from a lot of different perspectives. But really the main projects file is going to look at. So that's really the deal. Really the whole point of the assignment is I'm just going to see if your model is fully skinned. That's it. If it's not, we'll take a look at it piece by piece and see what happened with it. That's it. Now for your other assignment, we're going to start animating. That's going to be big. So for this week, it's just a checkpoint. It's the first checkpoint for animation. So what I want you to do is create 80% of the walk cycle. So that's what I'm looking for, at least 80% complete from contact point to contact point. I'm at least looking for at least 2 steps. So you should have at least 1 step and then 2 steps. So that should be the full walk cycle. So you should see 2 contact points. And a contact point is not when the animation's first started and he just starts walking. The first contact point is the first step taking up and stepping, and then the next contact point. So I'm looking for at least 2 steps. Minimum 6 frames per step. So I've seen steps that have like 12 to 15 frames. If you want to go slower with certain steps, it's up to you. It just depends how you want to build the animation for your character. But I'm at least 6. 6 is like a good minimum to work with. That way, maximum 25 per step. So if you do like 50 frames or something, that step gonna be slow or very detailed, either or. Other than that, I'd also like you to start your custom animation. So for your animation project, you're actually going to be doing 2 animations. You're going to be doing a full walk cycle, and you're going to be doing a fun animation. However you want to do it, you can do it whatever you want to be at. For your custom animation, I would like you to at least just begin with 2 frames, 1 key pose, just start the animation. That's all. Other than that, that's pretty much it. But yeah, that's all I got, my friends. Real simple, easy piece of cake. It is a little difficult, but I have faith you'll get through it pretty well. We're at the point now where we can just play around and really just keyframe and do what we can, and it's just the fun part. Other than that, that's all I got. Real easy piece of cake, simple. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. And I'm here if you need me, so just give me a holler. I'll be online all week, and I should be good to go. I do have some time at 9 o'clock on my for my office time tomorrow, so if anybody needs to meet me up, please hit me up there. Other than that, that's it. So be safe, have fun, enjoy the holiday, and I'll see everybody later this week for my next announcement. Enjoy, guys.